Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'm Jim Cooper, editor-in-chief at Digiday. We're at the Possible Conference 2025 in the afternoon on the first day. We're really lucky to have John Halvorson, who's the SVP Global Consumer Experience. You're here at Possible. What is the most important conversation you think you'll have across these 3 days?
Yeah, look, I think the important conversations are twofold. One is partnership with agencies. So I'm down here with VaynerAgency, who's my agency in the US.
Yep.
And I think that connection between marketers and agencies is super important. It's these types of moments where you get out of the context, out of the office, that I think you have a lot of conversations about what's your dreams. And so whether it was yesterday or early this morning, we were talking about the future of retail media, where's AI, a lot of the time for the conversations you don't have in the absolute day-to-day.
Right.
I think the other one is I'm here with my partner from our MDS organization, which runs our IT solutions. And I think that collaboration between marketing and IT becomes so much more important. You see a lot of ad technology companies who are pushing a lot of different directions. AI's data are becoming a core part of the marketing function. That collaboration with that group and that bond is important. And again, I think that's often forged outside the office. So a lot of us went with her to a big Google Cloud conference. She's here with us. And I think we're going to be talking tomorrow as our keynote about how other marketers can build that relationship. And I think it's absolutely critical.
So at the end of the week, what do you think you'll take back to your home office that will help you address the next 3 or 4 months?
Look, I mean, I think everything that you learn about today is not so much about the next 3 to 4 months, but it's like planting the seed for the next 3 to 4 years.
Right.
And I think that, it's very easy because of the current context to get sucked into the day-to-day, the month-to-month, the quarter. But I think the marketers who are going to emerge from a lot of the geopolitical uncertainty are thinking about the next 3 to 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think really what I'll be thinking about is what do I need to do in 25 to win 26, 27, and 28.
Right.
And those victories of the future often have their seeds in much earlier years.
So that's really interesting. So what do you think is super mission critical for a marketer to be doing now to make sure that they achieve what you just said and to be competitive and relevant in 3 years?
Yeah, look, I think there's a few areas. So one is really your data and your taxonomy. And we got a good running start on this over the last 2 to 3 years, partnering with Tina and the MDS organization. And by putting a lot of that house in place, and it's really boring stuff like taxonomy, syntax, where are you storing it, that enables everything else that you're going to want to do later. Large language models, custom AI, consumer data, so much easier. And I think a lot of clients don't realize the current state of that. Do your creative assets, are they tagged? Are you aware of them? Have you mapped all your brands, the parent-child relationships? Those things make all the advanced work so much faster, so much easier. I think the second thing is you're starting to shape your capability agenda and think about what's a brand marketer of the future. Today, many people are doing AI proof of concepts, pilots. I think that's going to be BAU, business as usual, in 2027, 2028. There's a big capability gap. How are you going to go from hiring specialists and paying millions of dollars to train large language models to that be something an assistant brand manager does 3 years from now?
Right.
And you have to get there. So I think capability will be the big push also over the back half of the year, so you'll be ready because the job is changing at an unbelievably fast rate.
So I think we're at this maybe a second hype cycle of AI. How are you at Mondelez really employing it as a solution engine?
Look, I think first thing at Mondelez, what I think helps is you're going to see AI is going to impact every single function, whether it's marketing, sales, finance, technology, supply chain. And I think you need to acknowledge as a marketer, it's going to impact everything. What I think helps marketing lead and why I think marketers should take the lead is I think the use cases are super clear. And there are probably 15, 20 use cases, and you need to zero in on 2. At Mondelez, we're very focused on 2. We care about how we'll use AI to improve the quality of our content, and we care about how we're going to use AI to improve our e-commerce operations.
Right.
And I think those are 2 big projects where we know we can take our content to the next level by ultimately improving the quality, taking the cost to produce incremental assets down to 0. And in AI for commerce, I think we have a huge opportunity in conversion. You look at even some of our storied brands, a Ritz, an Oreo, we don't convert 50% of the people who hit our product pages into a sale.
Right.
What a huge upside for the business.
Right. So when you're thinking about marketing your products and you're talking to fellow marketers in this really sort of complex time, I think sometimes people forget about the end user, the consumer.
Yeah.
What do you think big brands are underestimating about the consumer today at their own peril?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the hard trade-offs people are having to make. There are really hard trade-offs, and I think you're seeing it really kind of start to come through in earnings as people appreciate it, the elasticity. So over a lot of the past years, many brands have had to price in order to offset challenges and inputs and costs. And I think you're seeing greater elasticity of demand and the consumer having to make more trade-offs, and that gets harder and harder. And I think the household income that it impacts is going higher and higher. It used to be 35K and under households impacted, then 50K, then 70K, 100K. And I think that uncertainty right now in the consumer is really starting to really change how they're making those trades.
So, last question. As a company that's dependent on the supply chain and the economy sort of, wobbling a little bit, how are you sort of looking forward to a potential recession or recessionary trends?
Look, I think that you have to be super connected to the consumer and seeing what's going to ultimately happen. Our I&A group is obsessed over this because it has huge impact on our supply chain forecasting and where we go. I think ultimately we benefit from the fact that we have storing brands that are highly resilient and really well loved. So we tend to weather those situations well. And in fact, some people trade into us as ultimately being the affordable luxury. I think as we go forward, what you're going to really see in that consumer is it will be tested at every single trend. And so the brand and the differentiation matters a lot. So how are you creating value through smart PPA? How are you designing for their specific needs? And how are you making sure that your innovation is truly against a sharp consumer insight? I think we're being disciplined on all of those areas.
All right. John Halvorson is Senior VP Global Consumer Experience and Commerce.
Great.
John, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.